What up, Dokkanners? Welcome back to ToonRami for another video on Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle. Today's video is going to be my top 5 free-to-play units in all of Dokkan. I wanted to do this for a while, but I decided to do it now because with the arrival of the Halloween units and the EZAs and all that, I just figured this would be a great time to talk about some of the units that I enjoy using in this game, because honestly, I like using free-to-play units more than pay-to-play. The reason why I like free-to-play more than pay-to-play is because of the thing that I've said many times on my channel and on my streams. To me, in a gacha game, there is nothing more rewarding than beating the end game content or the most difficult events using units that you never had to pay a dime for. Because these games are designed to get your money, to get you to spend more and invest. But if you're able to do all of this without spending a single cent, I feel like that is the best way to essentially beat a gacha game. You don't necessarily beat a gacha game where you never have to go back to it. Gacha games are constantly updating and adding more content and whatnot. But for me, that sentiment has maintained from the start of Dokkan all the way till now. Well, I wouldn't say the start, until I knew what free-to-play was until now. So today's video is going to be a top 5 of my favorite free-to-play units, not counting the one that you're seeing on screen, because this guy is in a league of his own. He is my all-time favorite, but I wanted him to be the starting screen because, I just wanted to show him off. I love this guy, number 1, because of his art, number 2, because of his build, the voice. Everything about this guy is so complete. His passive, his attacks complement each other perfectly. He's got an amazing lead. I don't want to go over him in depth because I've went over his build many times. I've done showcases on his teams that he leads, Artificial Life Forms. So you guys have seen and heard enough about this guy, but I wanted to show him because I'm going to be doing a top 5 video based on units that come after this guy. This guy is in tier 0. Now we're going to be taking a look at tier 1. So let's begin. Number 1, actually in no particular order, I don't want to do any unit injustice, is Ghost Tanks. For the longest time, this guy was actually my favorite free-to-play unit in the entire game before I met Imperfect Cell. This guy can heal, this guy can stun, this guy can stack temporarily. He is very impressive, and this is how he is right now. When I first met this unit, when I came across this unit for the first time back in 2019 when I first started playing Dokkan, 2018 actually, not 2019, he looked like this, and I liked him because he could heal and he could stun. And for me at the time, stunning was the main issue because I could not stun anybody to save my life. Having somebody who had a high chance to stun was the perfect complement for my team. I ran this guy on everything, super class, no class whatsoever back when I didn't even know what categories were or what types were. This guy was very reliable for me because I was able to heal a little bit on top of the items that I would use. This was a very underrated trait. And then when he got his TUR the next year, it was only like this. He never actually had the 77% or any of this other stuff. And this honestly was fine. I didn't need more with this guy. This was enough, honestly. Maybe the only thing that I could have asked for, as with any passive for a free-to-play unit, would be a base passive of like attack and defense plus 80% or something like that. But then, if they were to do something like that, it would devalue the summonable units, because essentially the pay-to-play units are going to be a little bit shinier than the free-to-play ones. So they had to make a clear enough distinction between free-to-play and pay-to-play. So that's why they don't really have, like, if a unit can do as much as this unit will do, they will omit something very crucial. And in this unit's case, that would be a permanent stacking feature and or a base passive of attack and defense plus like 80. So this unit temporarily stacks. He now has a high chance to stun. He can gain attack and defense plus 30% per rainbow key sphere obtained. That was really great. Unfortunately, it was very limited because you could only pick up at most, I believe, 5 or 6. You cannot pick up a rainbow key sphere outside of its one stream. It doesn't burst. And if you don't know what the term burst means, it's actually something that I only learned recently that is in Dokkan. Bursting is basically the bubbles that are adjacent to the stream that you're connecting, and those adjacent orbs to the side that rupture as you click that one line, those are called bursts. So when you're doing a line of rainbow key spheres, there is no bursting going on, so you're only going to be getting at most 150% attack and defense, I believe. I think it's 5. I don't know if it's 5 or 6, I can never remember. But anyway, he had a finite, ceiling for his attack output, essentially. Even if you gave him an additional, with this, he really was not able to tank all of the hits that I had wanted, which is why I built him with max additionals and then dodge. Dodge was kind of the out in case something went terribly wrong. But now that he has his EZA, he greatly raises attack and defense, which means if you have max additional, he could stack his attack and defense by 4 times in one turn. And then he still has the attack and defense plus 30 for the rainbow, but now they even gave him attack and defense plus 7 per those non-rainbow key spheres. So this guy is so good now, he doesn't even need a passive of attack and defense plus 80. He does everything on its own. So this unit has become super, super reliable. I will be doing showcases on this unit and the one you're about to see coming up next. But yeah, these free-to-plays, man, they've come to play now. Extreme Z Awakening for this guy, come on. 77%, he's now an actual lead. This guy's just really, really good. Next, not this guy. Next one is going to be the Candy Vegito. So this is the other one that I came across for the first time when I started playing the game. This unit was out on Dokkan a year before the Ghost Tanks, but when I started playing Dokkan in September of 2019, a month after when the Halloween event started, this was the other unit that I came across. And this guy was a lot of fun for me to use, even back in the day when he was just a normal candy without any sort of real stacking ability. He was actually very reliable for me. He seemed to dodge and stun all the time, so he has a rare chance to stun at this point. 50% chance to dodge. He disables enemy guard, and this, honestly, got the job done for me. I used to run this guy a ton on my teams because he just was really reliable. This 50% kept it, I don't know why it kept happening. Maybe it was because Dokkan was trying to get me into the game and really lock me in, so they gave me boosted rates. I don't know. You know that whole conspiracy. But this guy was really, really good back in the day because that stun actually came through for me, and so did the dodge. And then when he got his TUR, that just made him so much better. I'm actually really happy that he got an EZA. For me, I felt like the EZA was warranted. Not the Ghost Tanks, though. But for this guy, his stacking was really great. He was able to adapt in long form events now. He had a 70% chance to dodge. He had the nuking passive where he would gain stats with tech key spheres, also gain defense with non-tech key spheres. He was very, very good, but the thing that he was missing was a base passive. Because raising attack and defense, it's not as good as you think because it splits the difference between the two stats. When you're a specialist and you're stacking one particular trait, you will gain 30% of that per turn. But when you're raising both, you gain 20%. And what sucks is that on certain events, you want to be gaining 30% more than you want to be getting 20%. And it came to be a problem with this unit because he sometimes wouldn't get those additionals, so he wouldn't be able to keep up with the summonable units, and it actually made him the weakest link on many long-form event teams. So because of this EZA, and the fact that his nuking passive has now increased, even if he doesn't get a double stacking situation, having that nuking passive in there will actually help this unit tank a lot of hits, and this basically shored up his defense and made him a lot more reliable. So, and also, he went from a medium chance to a high chance. So this guy basically does a little bit of everything, and I really, really like him. I should also mention that these free-to-play units, I'm trying to show different free-to-play units in terms of what they do, because honestly, if I were to just pick 5 units that stack, there wouldn't be much in terms of discussion. So I tried to pick some variations, so these 5 are among my favorites, but I guess there would be a couple that are omitted for the reason that they just do the same thing that these guys do. So the next one is the Kael, not the Kael, the Caulifla, and this is the SSR form. I'm going to show you the TUR in a second. But this unit actually, before she even got her TUR, was one of my favorites because Universe Survival Saga has been my all-time favorite category in the entire game. I started Dokkan right after the show ended. Universe Survival Saga was a thing. I loved that whole premise. You know, the execution of the anime was a little off, but I love the premise. I love the saga. So all Universe Survival Saga units were my favorite. And this one was among the best because she was extremely reliable on the defensive end. She dodged at 60%. Because I always had 4 or more Universe Survival Saga allies on the team. She gained attack with having more units on the team, so that basically took care of her attack. And then her defense was shored up with her super attack, so I gave her max additional. She would gain defense times 2. If she couldn't dodge for some reason, she would get hit. It wouldn't do as much damage as it typically would. So this unit was very, very nice, simply as an SSR. And then she got her TUR, and she got so much better. So much better that I choose to use this unit over the AGL summonable Caulifla Super Saiyan 2 all the time. All the time. I like to use this unit more. She gains now attack and defense 20% up to 80. Chance of evading still the same. That's not going to change. That would be broken. She gains attack when Kael's on the team. She launches an additional attack that has a medium chance to attack when Kael is on the team. I mean, they really, really leaned into the whole camaraderie between... I don't know if camaraderie is the right word, if it's... Does camaraderie apply to females as well? I thought camaraderie was a... I don't know. Anyway, the synergy between Kael and Caulifla really translates on these passives, and this TUR makes this unit very, very good. Unfortunately, her counterpart Kael is a little bad in comparison. All she does is like boost the category by 30% or something like that. She has no passive for herself. She's really not that great. But this unit is so good. She works in teams with or without Kael, and she has been a stellar, reliable unit for me all the time. I've never had a bad experience with this unit. Up next, it's the same thing. Oops. Hercule and Boo. This is one of the newest free-to-play units that we've had in the game. This was the one that showed up during the the worldwide celebration. This unit has been very, very, very surprising in that he could handle himself instantly. And without having a passive that gives him attack and defense at the start, he's really, really good. So I'm going to start off right off the bat just looking at his EZA because I never had to sit around and experience this unit before he awakened. But this guy in his EZA form, he's a Majin Buu Saga lead, 77%, greatly raises defense and lowers enemy attack. So you are doubly lowering the gap between your stats and the enemies by lowering their attack and raising your defense. So usually what happens is when you lower an enemy attack, they'll do a certain amount of damage and then they'll do a certain amount less because they've lost their attack. But when you're gaining defense at the same time as they're losing attack, you are exponentially, I wouldn't say exponentially, but you are multiplying that gap reduction even more by reinforcing your stats and lowering theirs, making this guy really, really good where if you fought a unit, like actually you're going to see this in a video coming up, I use one stack and I take down an enemy's attack by a little bit and I gain his defense by 2. He actually takes double-digit damage, and this was on a Super Battle Road stage, so it was very surprising to see that this guy could do that on one turn, let alone multiple ones, and he doesn't even have a starting passive like I mentioned, so after a couple of turns of greatly raising defense, this guy's untouchable. And then his passive is just so good, so versatile. He also supports the entire team, and then he has the whole exchange mechanic, which makes him even better because then he goes on the offensive a little bit more. Instead of doing extreme damage, he does supreme, and he's just really, really, really good. He does everything that you want in an exchange unit, and then he transforms without you even having to do it. He's all around very, very, very reliable. And I think only once or twice has he ever actually had to transform to Boo because the events went that long. But for the most part, fights would end before this guy would even change. And he has to transform after getting hit, I believe. That's the condition, right? After receiving damage 5 or more times, yeah. And what sucks is that sometimes I don't want him to change because he becomes so tanky. I don't want him to stop getting hit. But honestly, his exchange version doesn't disappoint. He raises attack and defense for one turn. He does a lot of damage. He provides support still, and then he gains that base passive that we were missing before. So this unit has been very good. Majin Buu Saga as a free-to-play category overall has become very, very good. You're going to see that on another video. I love it. I love it. Free-to-play Majin Buu Saga might be my favorite free-to-play category now. It used to be artificial life forms with Cell. I don't know if that's the case anymore. Honestly, I think Hercule and Boo changed that. And lastly, to round out the top 5, one of the older free-to-play units in the entire game, the LR Saiyaman 1 and 2. Now, as I said, these units, I tried to show the different units that do different things. So we've seen temporary stacking and stunning. We've seen permanent stacking, stunning, and dodging. We've seen permanent and temporary stacking, plus dodging, plus additionals. And then we've seen everything else with the Hercule and Boo. This guy was among the first free-to-plays that I ever got, and he has been someone that I've had to use constantly from the start, honestly. This support and everything about this unit has been very, very positive for me. The only thing that I would say that is missing would be a really solid starting passive for attack and defense. Again, that is the main plague behind all of these free-to-play units. They don't have that, but summonables do. But other than that, this guy has been really, really good. And I think out of all the summonable free-to-play friend units, this was the best one for the longest time. Now, it's going to be the Hercule and Boo because they just got their LR EZA. But imagine if this guy got an EZA treatment. He'd be even better. This guy seals. This guy also raises ally stats for 2 turns. Typically for these Ultra Supers, you would only gain stat bonuses for 1 turn. But what was great about this guy was that if you brought him at the end of a rotation, you could use that Ultra Super and then give the next entire rotation a stat boost. And it was really, really great. And I use this ability quite a bit, including the video you're going to see coming up. And yeah, and then his passive, it worked for me. It worked for me. It made Physical Super Battle Road. I think Physical Super Battle Road was the first Super Battle Road that I ever did in Dokkan. And it made it so much easier because everybody gained Ki plus 4 and Defense plus 50. And this Defense minus 70 for Extreme Class is woefully underrated. This actually caused a lot of my runs to be very, very quick and painless because I would basically one-shot or two-shot enemies because of this guy being out on the field. He is very, very good. Plus the art. I love this art. This art is really, really cool. And unfortunately, since he was among the first free-to-play units that I ever got, I did spend 19 Kais on this guy. This is going to be something that will forever haunt me. 19 Kais spent on this unit instead of just farming him out and getting those dupes myself. But it was, I mean, I guess at the time, given the experience, the limited knowledge that I had, it ended up working out quite nicely. It took a long time to, I still remember, it took a very long time to awaken this guy because you had to get medals from like every single event that ever existed. It was really, really annoying. You had to get 3 from all of these, like, what are these, hero extermination events? Oh, is that what it was? Oh, no. It goes further. It starts from 1 of each, and then it goes to 3 of each, right? Yeah, 3 of each. And then it goes to 5 of each, and then ultimately you get to the LR stage. But I still use this guy constantly, including Majin Buu Saga. You're going to be seeing this on the next video. I'm just going to tell you right now. The next video on the channel is going to be Majin Buu Saga free-to-play. And it's going to be a showcase both for the Candy Vegito as well as the entire category of Majin Buu Saga. And you're going to want to watch that because I do something that I don't think many people have ever done. But I think they could if they wanted to, but I don't think they have. But anyway, this unit is a great facilitator. It sets up a lot of great units to do some great things. Provides key support, stat support, and nerfs the enemy at the same time, while also sealing the opponent. So if this unit were to take some potential lethal damage, you could basically save yourself from doing that by just sealing the enemy. So one of the most reliable LR free-to-plays that I've had to use for the longest time is this guy. When he eventually gets that easy A, oh, you can bet this unit's going to be top tier. So that is going to be it for the top 5 free-to-play units. I love free-to-play in Dokkan. You guys should know this, and if you don't, well, now you do. So thank you so much for watching, folks. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like down below, and let me know in the comments, what are some of your favorite free-to-play units? Do you share any of the same ideas that I do? Stacking, additionals, the philosophy on survivability more so than damage output. What are your thoughts on free-to-plays in general? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, be sure to subscribe for more dope content in the future, and click the notification bell so that you let YouTube know you want to see more of my stuff. Do it! Thanks again. Stay tuned, and always remember to free-to-play responsibly. Yes, free-to-play. Free-to-play is the best. Free-to-play king! Right here on Global.